have a 300 square meters of a roof. We're on top of a hotel in Dingle, and there are plenty of problems with this roof. There was a temporary one layer of felt put on the roof because this was done during the winter, and then when the summer came, there was a contractor who came and he applied on top of the felt that was there. He applied about 6mm ply over the felt, and they left it for 2 weeks, and that got saturated, and then they applied the liquid on top of the failing plywood, and they didn't even do any joints. So we're working on a spongy surface with plenty of water trapped between the layers. And what we're going to do is we're going to strip the entire roof, and we're going to redo it from the scratch using the Lava 20. So Henry, since the gentleman called us on Wednesday, how long did it take us to price it? We come over here and do it.
We came over here on Friday, the same week. We priced the job, we got to go ahead on the same day, and we were here on Tuesday after bank holiday, which is bank holiday Monday. Took us about 8 days to do it. Absolutely pleased with it. We applied 2 coats, a lava system with dark grey top coat on it. And thanks to the guys because they did a great job in here.
Yeah, the lava itself, it's good enough if you tape the joints and to apply the 2 coats of the lava and then the top coat. You get your 25-year warranty. But on this job, the client demanded the 150%, the cherry on top of a cake. So we embedded a fully reinforced matting into the substrate of the roof. So this is a really solid job, as you can see. So we're doing a couple of core samples. And what we're looking at here is you have the polyurea on top that's been applied onto 6mm ply on top of felt, and then we have ply underneath. So we're going to strip everything to the fresh ply, and then we're going to replace sections where it's rotted, and then we're going to apply the system directly onto ply, getting rid of all of those layers. So this is the temporary waterproofing membrane that is stuck in the winter. It was just literally temporary. But then some other roofer came along and stuck this on top of that, and then they sprayed the polyurea. But there you go, wrong application. And we are going to start with this lift shaft. As you can see, they spray the polyurea onto wet boards and everything is detaching itself. So we're gonna have to strip it all, use new OSB, get rid of this nasty stuff as well, the wet part of it, and follow with the OSB. The boards here are all compromised. They got wet. Now listen, there's a long story why all this happened, but what we're gonna do is we're stripping everything to the fresh plywood, and now we have to determine which plywood is good enough to coat. So the Lava 20 can be applied onto boards that have under 10% of moisture within, and that's what we're gonna check now. So we have the moisture meter set everywhere across the plywood. We have 0%, but on the edges, this is what's happening. See? That's why I'm cutting away about a foot away from the corner, and we're just gonna replace that wood. Listen, we could replace everything, but we're really fighting with time here because we have 300 meters to be done. So here we have boxed off the lift shaft. This is gonna be ready for waterproofing in the next 40 minutes. Here the lads are pulling up the previous waterproofing system, and all we have left is this temporary layer that they had underneath for some reason. So once that comes up and we get to the half of the roof, we're gonna start waterproofing. So the deck of the roof is good overall. All we have is a couple of soft spots. And as we open the roof, what we find underneath is expanding foam. So we're going to replace those sections with OSB. And as soon as we have this ready, we're going to start waterproofing. And then we're going to have another 2 lads at the end stripping the rest of the roof. Ultramex moisture meter will tell us how much moisture is within the board. So this piece here is something that we pulled up. We know that it's wet. So just to compare, now we're gonna put it onto dry deck, and as you can see, there's 0% moisture. And now move it onto this board, and now you have 60% of moisture. And now if you move it onto this part, you have only 25% of moisture. So it's a really important tool to have in your toolbox if you are a roofer, because if anything goes wrong on a job like this, the manufacturer is gonna come, is gonna take a sample, and then he's gonna tell you exactly what went wrong. These guys know what they're talking about, so they will be able to determine. But if you're using one of these bad boys, you'll never do wrong. So this is step number 1. We're gonna be filling all of the joints and all of the cracks using the PU mastic, just like that. And then we're gonna smooth it up, and then we're gonna apply the primer over it. As you can see, Sebastian is filling it using a gun, and then what we do is we smooth it up using something like that. You can use a scraper. There you go. And now what we're gonna use is we're gonna use a brush in combination with the primer, and then we're gonna smooth it up again. And we have to repeat the procedure across the entire roof. Once we have that done, then we're going ahead with the waterproofing. We have 6 lads using the guns and the PU mastic filling all the joints. This is one of the most important steps of the job. This is actually one of the reasons why the previous system failed here, because whoever was applying the polyurea didn't take care of the joints, which is the biggest part of the job. Because if anything ever is gonna go wrong, it's gonna go wrong at the joints. The very next step is the primer. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna pour the super quick primer into a tray. And remember, when you're applying the super quick primer, it's very important to use it from a bucket where you can rinse it, okay? Because if you start lashing the primer with the roller and dabbing it onto the roof, it's gonna, most of the primer is gonna soak in the area where you blob it onto the roof. That's why it's very important to dip it in the bucket and then get the excess off using the side walls. So you can use a bucket like that or a standard painting tray. As you can see here, Sylvester is smoothing all the joints using the super quick primer. Once we have the joints smoothed for the nice and flat surface, then we're gonna apply the primer using the roller across the entire area. Once we have that done, then we're gonna come back and start applying the lava in combination with the matting. And I'm gonna repeat again that usually we don't use a full matting on this type of a roof. I just want to do it because usually 100% is good, but because we are reusing the old boards, so that's why we're gonna go with the full matting. We're gonna use the full reinforced system. This product here, it's called lava detail. So this is basically the lava that you see in a big bucket, but this is fiber reinforced. So it's super thick, okay? So this stuff here we would apply on joints like that, where you can see that there's a difference of thickness. So this is gonna smooth everything up. So we apply nice and heavy chunk of it and whack it on. And then the boys are gonna come and they're gonna apply the tape onto this. And this is gonna, thanks to this, we're gonna achieve even smoother surface. This is a great product to have in the van and to use as use for an emergency repairs. It's basically used for doing details around outlets and such. We have 6 o'clock and we're only starting doing the waterproofing. And the funny thing is that this has to be finished today. So it looks like we're gonna be pulling a late one here. Couple of advantages of this system. So one of the good advantages is that the system comes in handy buckets. Look at this job. So we were able to bring the buckets through the stairs and load it onto the roof without crane, without any heavy equipment or even MEWP. Another one is that the system comes in a bucket. So all you need is the accelerator to activate it if you want it to go off quickly, and it's super easy to apply. What we have here is the Lava 20 accelerator catalyst. So what we do with this is we pour that into a bucket, and what that does, it basically activates the Lava 20, and we make sure that the Lava 20 will be set for the next day. You could do without it, but it's recommended to use the accelerator once you have all of the details done. It basically speeds up the process, so we'll be able to work on it tomorrow, because as I said, we're gonna use additional top coat on top of the already reinforced matting. So we're gonna pour that into this bucket now. We pour the accelerator into the lava 20. This is what it looks like. We mix it up for a good couple of minutes. Remember, when you're mixing urethanes, specialized liquids, always mix it for longer than you think you should mix it for, okay? Always do it for a couple of minutes more. And even with some liquids, it's a good practice to pour the mixed liquid into another fresh bucket and give it another mix in another bucket. Guys that do floor resins will know all about it. A very common question we get is, how do you dry a roof like this before application of the second coat? And the answer is very simple: wet vacuum. So 90% of the water will be gone. All you have is a couple of drops, and then the rest of it we would use a rag or let it dry naturally. Over 2 hours it'll dry itself. So this is it, wet vacuum. So what we're doing now is we're gonna mix up the resin in individual cans, and then we're gonna pour it into a bucket and give it a final mix, and we're gonna apply it. We are officially finished with this gigantic roof, and what you can see here, this is the fully reinforced system. You can still see the fibers within, and we've used a heavier fiberglass matting on this one just for the extra strength, and I have to say that it looks pretty amazing. It's a huge job, and there was a lot of problems with this roof before we even got here. Everything solved, all the bad boards cut out, replaced with a fresh OSB, waterproofed nicely, and now we're gonna take a couple of videos using the drone. If you are a roofing contractor and you have 3 months or more of work ahead of you, you can always contact a company like us. We have the manpower and we can start jobs almost instantly, because all we specialize in is the liquid membranes. So if you would like to subcontract some of your work to a company like us, you're more than welcome to give us a call. We just have to make sure that everybody is happy. We currently work in conjunction with a couple of builders and a lot of roofers, and this is what we do. We just wanted to let you know that this is also an option for any of the bigger contractors. You can always subcontract some work to us. Thank you.